Summer is an opportune time to transform your body. It is an opportune time to work on muscle building, but everybody overcomplicates it. And ladies, I think a few of you are missing a whopping opportunity during the summer months. And today, I want to talk about it. We are going to get into how to put these extra calories that we know that we're all going to be eating over the summer months to good use. Because what is the number one thing that most women fear in the summer? Most of the women that I speak to, maybe the majority of you listening, we don't want to gain weight. We don't want to gain weight in the summer, but we want to be able to have that flexibility. We want to be able to reap the reward. A lot of women, you'll have started the year, you got on the health kick, you wanted to lose the weight, maybe you fluctuated yo-yoed back and forth more times than you would have liked in the first 6 months of the year, but summer is now officially here. So for the next 6 to 8 weeks, we just want to be able to do what we want to do without having to track all of the numbers, be in a calorie deficit, and be as rigid as we have been. And so that in our minds completely puts a halt to progress. Like, we've got no opportunity to progress because we're eating more. Well, insider tip, this is the opportune time to build muscle because, ladies, what do we all want? We want a lean, toned aesthetic. We don't want our skin to wobble when we lift our arm up to wave to a friend. We want our thighs to look toned. We want definition. Well, that is muscle. That is not skin. That is muscle. And let me tell you this, you've got to be eating enough to build muscle. You are never going to build a significant amount of muscle in a calorie deficit. So what does the summertime equal for you? An opportune time to build the muscle. I am banging on about until the cows come home. And so many women feel is the goal. But we're never quite in the perfect opportune time to do it because we're so driven and focused on losing weight all of the time, striving for fat loss. We're never really in prime position to build muscle. Well, summertime is just that. But before we get into it, I'm not going to skip the unfiltered this week. I cruised right through the unfiltered part of the podcast last week because I was so passionate to deliver the message. If you didn't listen to last week's episode where I am talking all about the present version of you, in fact, I'm not even going to go into it. Go back and have a listen. Listen to this first or pause this episode. Go and save last week's episode. Do not miss it. Don't skip over it. Don't miss it. Don't read the title and think that's not relevant to me. I promise. I genuinely feel that every woman, no matter what stage of the journey, whether you are exactly where you want to be or you're just getting started, I believe all of us need to hear that. And I was the messenger in last week's episode. I am still a work in progress and I needed to hear that message myself also. But I got right into it and I completely skipped the unfiltered. And the funny thing is, the ironic thing is about this podcast is that I like to show up and give the education and the tips and the tactics of, how to thrive, how to maximize. And the majority of feedback that I get is normally related to the unfiltered share, which is just wild because the unfiltered is normally, if you're new to the podcast, ladies, the unfiltered, it's just an anecdote from my week, or it might be something that's been under my skin or just something that I've seen or heard or that I want to voice my opinion on. And it's kind of like off topic. And it always seems to be the thing that the majority of women will comment or feel the need to send me a message like, Nick, you said this in the unfiltered and I was so glad to hear that. Or I was thinking that too. Or, someone might answer a question that I've just putting out there. Okay, we need a whole episode of my Nicola Graham dialogue because putting is not a word, but I've just made it up. So add that to the catalogue. There's at least 20 words now since I've started the podcast that I have just merged 2 words together and created. Can you imagine a whole episode of just me speaking in my own very strange Scouse dialogue? Anyway, unfiltered. So I think I said this a couple of weeks back. One of my goals at the beginning of this year, let's talk goals because this is the unfiltered part. One of my goals at the beginning of this year was to just take a little bit more pride in my appearance. Okay, show up with a bit more pizzazz. Stop walking around in your scruffs. Going to the gym in your old kit. Going on the school run in your old gear. Life is the special occasion. That's the saying, isn't it? Life is a special occasion. Glam up for it. Well, that was a goal and it hasn't happened. It has not happened. I still go to the gym in my scruffs and go on the school run. If you see me ever just out and about in the supermarket or whatever, you might be thinking, crikey, I'm not that glam girly. I like to glam up when I go on holiday. If we go out for dinner as a family, I like to, put a bit of lip gloss on. Other than that, what I'm wearing is not really of my concern. It's just not, and I wanted it to be this year. So I told myself that I was going to invest a little bit more in just taking care of my skin and, present myself in a certain way. Anyway, the goal has kind of done a bit of an about turn because, and I think it's Ibiza. Remember me saying in a couple of weeks ago's episode, again, my own dialect, a couple of weeks ago's episode, makes no sense. The episode from a couple of weeks ago when I just got back from Ibiza, and I said to you all, I feel as though I've clawed back a little part of me, like a part of my identity. So me, 15 years ago, I loved dressing up. I loved being a bit of a glam girly. I was a tomboy. Early years, teenage years, I was a tomboy. I got a trackie every year for Boxing Day. I walked around in my footy kit. I went to match every week with my dad and my granddad. And best years of my life, until becoming a mum, obviously. But I was a tomboy as a kid. And then obviously you start getting interested in boys and one thing and another. And then I discovered, getting dressed up and all of the things. But really, I think the core of the heart of me, I am still a tomboy, I think. And then there's this little piece of me that loves to dress up, but she doesn't really come out that often. Anyway, so I said on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, I felt as though Ibiza brought that back out in me because it's a very glam place. Little bit of an unfiltered within the unfiltered. Bear with me, ladies, on this. I will get to the flesh and bones of this week's podcast, how to build muscle. We arrive in Ibiza and instantly I was like, we're genuinely we are pulling up in the taxi outside the hotel, and there was an event on in our hotel that day. So people from all over Ibiza were coming to our hotel specifically. We've stayed in Destinos, and Destinos hosts an event on a Thursday. So the hotel was chocker. We were arriving at 3-4 o'clock. The event starts at 5. And instantly as we're pulling up, I go to Mark, I don't like any of my outfits. Because I could see all of these other girls and women arriving at the hotel and they wear glam. Honestly, you underestimate how extra some people are in Ibiza. I felt fine, by the way. Once I'd unpacked and got dressed, I was like, no, it's fine. But I was like, oh, I have got the dress code wrong. 43-year-old me doesn't really know how to rock up in Ibiza, do you know what I mean? I'm all for be your most authentic self and just be you, and that's exactly how I rolled. But when we first arrived, I was a bit everyone is in sparkle, everyone's in glam, everyone's got body glitter on, I am just gonna look so chill. Even my dressiest version of myself still felt like too tomboy to be in Ibiza. Anyway, in the lead up to Ibiza, started just watching a few little tutorials and stuff on how to apply makeup during the day. I know that this sounds so random, but here's the thing, I only ever seem to consume fitness-based content, whether it's education, whether I'm watching a seminar, whether I'm reading something, researching something. And I was it felt a bit indulgent. It felt a bit indulgent to be watching something that wasn't related to health and wellness and food and mindset. And anyway, since coming back in the last couple of weeks, I have continued to try and just take a bit better care of myself. And the point of the unfiltered share is the realization that we can go back and revisit any of our goals at any moment, and we can actually choose to do things differently, choose to tap into different versions of ourselves whenever we want, whenever we wish. And if you're listening to this right now and thinking, yeah, I want to dress a little bit more glam, or I want to wear all my best jewelry to just go on a random day out, or I want to start wearing makeup or less makeup, or you might be the woman that always feels the need to dress up and you really want to embrace your inner tomboy. Whatever it is, do it. Let's do it. Let's embrace this little version of ourselves that she's not the 100%, she's not the whole time, but you know what? Little parts of me wants to be able to put on a bit of glam from time to time and it not feel like a special occasion. And I don't know what holds me back from doing that. I don't know what it is. It's kind of a bit of a random unfiltered, ladies. I totally get that. But I'm being the messenger once again. That if you set goals at the beginning of the year and you've not made a start on them yet, or you feel as though you've missed the boat because that was January and now we're in the thick of the year, well, guess what? Life is happening. Clean slate every day. Clean slate every moment of every day that we choose to just step forward and do things differently. And it can be anything. It doesn't even have to be related to appearance. It might be the way that you act, the way that you speak about yourself, the way that you show up in the workplace, on your social media, as a mum, as a wife. Do all of the things, embrace it. That wasn't filtered. If you see me showing up on camera now with a little bit of highlighter on, or a little bit of concealer under the eyes, who knew a little bit of well-placed concealer could just instantly give a glow up? I've been watching all of the beauticians, the beauty influencers. I try to follow beauty influencers with mature skin who are in the 40s, who are trying to I follow a few women. I should really share. Head over to Instagram, drop me a message if you want me to share the women I've been following, because I've got some fab little tips off them all. But I try to follow the women who are saying, don't do this, make sure you do that. Everything that they're saying not to do is what I was doing. So basically, don't put your blusher on like this because it's going to make your face look older. Put your blusher on like this if you want to look a little bit more youthful. I'm like, thank you for sharing that information, because I am still putting my blusher on like I'm 18, like Aunt Sally. And my face has changed, and that is why I refrain from putting makeup on, because I think I look a little bit crazy. I'm doing it wrong. I've been doing it wrong the whole time. So I'm going to let the beauty influencers guide me on that front. And I am here to guide you all on how to make the most of our health, fitness, wellness, body transformation. Ladies, oh my goodness me. I tell you what, I was sat on the hamstring curl, and this is the exact moment that I thought I have got to record a podcast on this. So I'm on the hamstring curl. Okay, I used to get on the hamstring curl. I would set it to the same weight every time. And if it felt a little bit easier, I'd just add on some reps. Okay, so I would never think to increase the weight. Bear in mind, my legs have always been my stubborn area. Probably heard me say this before, always. I would have to diet down. Remember when thigh gap was a trend? And I so wanted the thigh gap because I wanted to wear the wet look leggings, and I've said this on a previous podcast. And it's just not my shape. Or I believed it was not my shape, because I wasn't focused on building muscle. I was focused on just trying to eat as little as possible and burn as much as possible, and all of the mistakes that we make. And in the last couple of years, it has dawned on me, and whether or not it's age and I've just had to do things differently, and I think we all have to be willing to adapt. You get into your 40s, you got to be willing to adapt what you're doing in training. If you're doing high rocks 5 times a week and you're wondering why you're walking around feeling bloated, exhausted, and still carrying body fat, belly fat, all of the things, the clue is inside of the training split that you're on. Anyway, so I'm sitting on the hamstring curl, and I'm doing a lot heavier than the 15 kg that I used to be doing. I was actually doing 40 kg, I remember, because I wanted to move it up to 45, and I was going for 10 reps, okay? And I couldn't get the 10. I could only get 7, and then it felt like I just needed to knock it down to the 40 to get the last 3 out. And I really thought in my mind, I need to speak on this, because the version of me now and the version that I, as a coach, and what I would advocate to you all is, I want you to go for the heavier weight, okay? We've got to give our body a stimulus. It's not going to adapt. Your muscle's not going to grow. Your body's not going to adapt and change unless you give it something that it has to adapt to. Whether it be the heavier weight, whether it be the shorter rest period, the faster pace, whatever it is that you're training. So I'm sitting there in that moment thinking, okay, this is an opportune time. I'm going to get back from holidays, and I 100% am probably going to increase my calories. I say probably because I don't actually track calories. I've got to the point now where I can eat intuitively. I count nutrients over calories, and some of you inside are thriving women, you're also on that path. We don't want to be tracking calories forever. We use MyFitnessPal as a tool, but if you are following the thriving method, you are following a whole food diet, you're following all of those protocols, you stop eating when you're full, you make sure that you reach satiety early in the day, all of the good stuff that we talk about inside of Thriving Women. Don't actually have to track your calories. However, we get to the point where we're at maintenance. And I know if I'm reducing my calories, and I plan when I get back from my summer holiday to increase my calorie intake. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm also going to increase the weight that I'm lifting, because there's always a method. There's always a method behind what we're doing. And you can always use whatever stage you're at to your advantage. This is the beauty of transformation. Whatever stage you're at, you can use it to your advantage. So if we're in a stage right now, I still want you to eat quality. Quality matters. Quality matters for our health. Don't forget, we are thriving women. We concern ourselves. Maybe not worry. Maybe that's the wrong word. We concern ourselves with our health. We want to be in great health. We want good energy. We want clear thinking. We want optimization. We don't want disturbed sleep because we're eating shit and sugar all day. But we can still eat a little bit more. And so it got me thinking, this is the opportune time to build muscle. And I know most women are going to miss this. You're going to miss this window because you're going to think, I've ate more, I need to burn more. Right, I better book onto that spin class. I better get out for the run. I better make sure that I'm doing that combat class, high reps class, whatever it is. I want you to back up. I want you to listen to this and take it to heart. So let's go through the 5 non-negotiables, 5 must-haves to build muscle. Because building muscle, it's not a complicated process, but it is a process. To process that your body's designed to do. I say us because I'm like, we're in it together, but actually not me, because I've moved away from this old school mentality now. I have been skinny fat, by the way. I have been that woman who is chasing the calorie burn, is convincing myself that I'm building muscle. I was never eating enough to be building muscle. I was never eating enough or actually lifting heavy enough. I was lucky to be sustaining the muscle that I had. It was only until a couple of years ago that I really invested in this, what I'm about to talk through on today's podcast. So, number 1, and first and foremost, ladies, we're not going to skip training this summer. I know you're going to tell yourself that the kids are off. You're trying to do work and you've got food shopping, you've got play dates and you've got all of these things. At what point in life are we going to draw the line and say, I have to have an hour for myself 3 times in the week? So 3 times in a 7-day window, I need to have 45 minutes to an hour to myself. Not to take the bath, go and get the nails, all of that thing, all of that's nice, to exercise, to put my body up against some resistance. Like, we've got to do it. Whether or not you invest in a set of dumbbells and you do it from home or you go to the gym, I don't care, it doesn't matter. We've got to exercise, we've got to be working out. Okay, so in your workouts, what is the number 1 thing? This is the top 5, but number 1, these are actually in no particular order, to build muscle. Because believe it or not, I know a lot of us might feel as though we've missed the boat. Like, well, it's summer's here now and I'm not in the shape that I wanted to be in. So technically, I don't have to worry about any of this, Nick, until next summer. Believe you me, you are going to want to be in shape in September. You're going to want to be in shape for the October half term. You're going to want to be in shape when Christmas comes and the party dresses all come out. Like, again, I talk about this all of the time. We convince ourselves of the narrative that we want to hear. We think we've missed out. We've missed the boat. It's summer. It's too late. It's not. Life is happening. Let's make the most of eating the extra calories. The first thing that you're going to do, progressively overload. So exactly what it says. Progressively, as in maybe week on week, you're going to overload your muscle. You're going to lift that little bit heavier. Now, you're not always going to get the full set on the heavier weight. I couldn't get my full 10 reps on the 45 kg. However, I got 7. And then for the last 3, I just whipped the weight back down to 40 and got the last 3 out. You're not always going to get the full set. That's not the goal. The goal is to just put your muscle under a little more tension than it did the week before. So if you've heard me say this before, I'm going to repeat myself anyway. But you've got to think about your muscle fibers are almost like this little crew of workmen. And when your muscle goes to undertake, let's say a bicep curl, let's keep it very simple, a bicep curl. It's going to put men on the job, muscle fibers. I'm thinking of all of these little muscle fibers with hard hats running around in the body. This is my usual analogy. Your body's going to put the men on the job that's needed to lift the weight. Now, the better you get, the more efficient you get at lifting that 5 kg dumbbell, let's say, for example. The more efficient you get, the less men are needed on the job. Like, your body's just, it knows how to do that. It's ready. It's adapted to lifting the 5 kg weight. But what happens when you pick up the 7? Well, body ain't ready for this. So, well, more men are called to the site to help lift the muscle. Okay, more men, more muscle fibers, more muscle tissue is being recruited to help you get that that exercise, that dumbbell up, okay? Progressively over time, you're going to lift that little bit heavier. And each week, with each couple of weeks, more muscle fibre is being used. You're breaking down more tissue in the process, and you are rebuilding in the process. So progressively overload. We've got to give our body something to adapt to. I've recorded previous episodes on this, so please go back and take a look through and have a listen. But you know, it's not always going to be that we lift heavier every week. Obviously, what would the strongest man be doing? Like, he would be out of weight by now. But you can slow down your reps. You can add in reps if you're not doing anything wild. If you're doing like 5 reps and you want to take it to 7 or 8 reps. But we want to be giving our body something that has to adapt to. One easy way to know if you're doing this is, are you pulling an ugly face in a workout? Me on the hamstring curl earlier, I just looked over and I seen some old guy. And he was like on a machine a bit further down. And I could just see him looking at me. And I knew I was pulling the craziest ugly faces to try and shift the weight. And I was like, he's probably looking at me thinking, what is she actually doing? But yeah, there's the feedback that you need. If you know you're pulling ugly faces, if you're texting on your phone whilst you're doing your weights or you're on a machine, it's not heavy enough. So let's give our body something to actually have to adapt to. Number 2 is your protein intake. It matters. It's the only macronutrient that actually will support muscle growth, repair, building. Your body, your muscles cannot build on fats and carbohydrates. So you want to be striving for around 1 gram of protein to 1.6, okay, per pound of ideal body weight. So your ideal weight, whatever that might be, you want to be striving for about the same amount in grams of protein. If the ideal weight's 150 pounds, you want to be doing 150 grams of protein, okay? And are you going to listen to this and think, how the hell do I get all of that protein in? Well, do you know what? You've got to strip back what you're currently eating, and you've got to look at, what protein sources do I enjoy? What's quick and easy for me to whip up or have on hand? And then you've just got to prioritise it. That is the answer to that question, how do I get more protein? The most asked question on planet Earth, I feel. As a fitness coach, how do I get more protein? You just have to prioritize eating more protein. That is it. There's no magic. Add egg whites to the eggs. Snack on the tin of tuna instead of the cereal bar. Eat the large chicken breast instead of the small chicken breast. Just think about how to make your life easier. Getting in your protein is easy when you prioritize it. If it ain't a priority, it's not going to happen. It's not a convenience food, unfortunately, the majority of the time. So it feels harder to do because it's not convenient. But if we think about it and we get into the habits and the routines, it just becomes a part of how you eat and what you prioritize. It will start to feel easier, and it's genuinely, like, you cannot build muscle without it. So you can be doing all of the hard work. You can be going into the gym. You can be doing all of these other 4 pointers that I'm going to go into today. But if you are not eating enough protein, you're not going to get that outcome that you want. Number 3 is calories. Woohoo! We need to be eating enough calories to build muscle. If you are in a calorie deficit, your body is going to struggle to prioritize building muscle. So believe it or not, building muscle is not deemed as a big priority by the body. Like, the priority of the body is just to keep you alive, functioning, getting from A to B. Okay, building muscle it's a luxury. Retaining muscle is a luxury. This is why we get into our 40s and we do have to do things differently. We do have to be willing to take care of ourselves a little more. And it's no longer a luxury the way it felt, whether that's sleep or stress management. It has to be a non-negotiable because this is part of health now. And when it comes to building muscle, if your body is not getting enough energy, calories, whatever we want to call it, energy, calories, same thing, it's not going to prioritize building muscle. Now, there's a bit of nuance here. It depends where you're at in your fitness journey. It depends how much protein you're eating. You know, there's a few variables to consider. But for the purpose of today's podcast, I think the majority of us, whether we realize it or not, if you are eating out more, if you are going to more barbecues, doing more social things, going on holiday, just enjoying the summer the way I hope that you all are, you're probably going to be eating more calories than like your typical week, just by default, because calories, numbers on the back of a pack, even numbers on a menu, it's always only gauge, it's guidance, it's not specific. And so the minute that we start to loosen up on that, you can sure as hell bet you are eating more calories than previously. And so let's put this to good use. Let's make sure that of these additional calories, we're getting enough protein. And when we go into our training, we're lifting that little bit heavier. If you're working out from home and you've got a set number of dumbbells and you're not in a position to invest in more right now, and you're thinking, Nick, I don't have the opportunity to lift heavier, I just want you to slow your reps down. So think about, if you're doing we'll use the bicep curl analogy again. Okay, so you've got the weights up. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see me doing this. You've got the weights up and you're going to slowly lower them down. Like if you would normally just lower up and down, okay, it's quite a comfortable rhythm for your body to get into. You are going to now lower the weight 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That 5 seconds of tension, at some point, you're going to feel like, I need to drop the weight. You've got two options. You either drop the weight or your body recruits more muscle fibre to support holding the weight. Again, at that point, your body has recruited more muscle fibres to contend with the job. It's had to adapt. The men that we've sent for the job can't manage the job. We need to send more hands on deck. That is, again, my funny little analogy. This stems from me talking to the kids years ago about how digestion works. Whole other ball game. I don't go into the ins and outs of nutrition with my kids, but anyway, the little workman just became a thing. So I just want you to slow your reps down, slow them down. If you're doing a deadlift with your set of dumbbells, you're going to go down for 1 and you're going to come up 4, 3, 2, 1, and on that, that slow descent back up, you're holding tension on your hamstrings, you're holding tension on your glutes, you're holding tension on your erector spinae, like the bottom of your back. You're holding tension on your core, you should be. You might even be holding your grip strength a little more, which is then leading into your triceps are activated. For this entire time, you are holding more tension on your body. The longer that we can draw out that tension, the more muscle fibres, the more your body's going to have to adapt to that prolonged period of tension. So there's always a way. Again, if you are listening to this thinking, I clearly don't know enough about this, come and join us inside the Thriving Women and you will hear all about it, and you will have a plan that allows you to adapt and build muscle, whether you're doing it from home, doing it in the gym, wherever you are. Number 4, sleep. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago in the episode, because it cannot be deemed as a luxury, ladies, and I know that it is for a lot of us, because we could stay up doing things around the house, buying things online, whatever it is, until the cows come home. Of course we could. There's always more that we could be doing, or we perceive it to be that way. But we've got to prioritise our sleep if the goal is transformation, muscle building. Because first and foremost, the sleep is when your growth hormone peaks in deep sleep. Okay. So your growth hormone is what triggers this muscle building. Don't forget, a lot of what is going on in the background, it's all dictated by hormone release. And I spoke last week about your central nervous system is always in the background running the show, whether it's in rest, whether it's in fight or flight, but we need this sleep. And realistically, in an ideal scenario, we need a decent amount of good quality sleep. And there's ways that you can improve the quality of your sleep, ladies. You can reduce caffeine, you can reduce screen time before bed, you can supplement with magnesium biglycinate before bed, you can stay away from any HIIT training too close to bedtime. Like, there's nutrition protocols. Like, it's not all, well, I just don't sleep well because I'm perimenopausal or I've got young kids, or so we just write off, well, that's not me, I'm not in that camp. You are a woman, you are going to go to sleep every night. We can improve the quality of the sleep that you're going to get. We would love it if it was 7 to 9 hours, but if it's not 7 to 9 hours, that's not to say that you can't build muscle. The hours that you are getting, we want to make sure that we're maximising them so that we get into a state of deep sleep, so that we can trigger this growth hormone, and so we actually can reap the rewards of all of these other points that we're talking about. So your sleep is when your growth hormone is actually at its best. It's when it peaks. And that is what we need. Like, point blank, you need the protein to build muscle. You need the calories for your body to be able to prioritize building muscle. You have to be progressively overloading. And you need that growth hormone. You need that growth hormone. And if we can get it to its peak, you're going to maximize this muscle building phase. Who knew that we were going to be looking at summer to build muscle? But you know what? Let's do it. I feel as though sometimes I am unintentionally gatekeeping because I talk about Thrive 365 and we're always in motion. We're always in motion, whether you're chasing fat loss or chasing something else. We're never just stagnant. We're never still on our goals, ladies. Maintenance, although it's a phase, it still takes work. So you're still having to show up for yourself, even to maintain. And so via the podcast, because I don't maybe always touch on it enough on Instagram, which is kind of like where I seem to show up most on social media. But on the podcast, I want to talk about all of these little nuances because it's like, well, how do we thrive at 365? Because I want to be able to drink and I want to be able to eat and I want to be able to go on holiday. And it's like, yeah, we're just going to flip. We are just going to flip what you are focused on. Because you can't focus on fat loss 52 weeks of the year because it is draining. It's draining and it's not doable. Your fifth, and you might be pleased to hear this, is recovery between sessions. Recovery between sessions needs to happen. Your muscles don't grow during training. They grow between training sessions. So when you're resting, when you're recovering, when you are eating, when you're going about your day-to-day. I would also recommend if you are looking to target, well, I was going to say if you're looking to target a specific muscle group, but actually, if you're inside of Thriving Women, or the way that I like to train and the way I coach all of my clients, pretty much all of my clients, unless they're one-to-one and we've got very specific goals, their training split is full body splits. So you might have a day when you do 2 lower body exercises and the rest of your session is upper. You might have a day when you do 2 upper body exercises and the rest of your session is lower. But no session is all lower or all upper, because actually we want you to be able to recover from your session and go back and hit that same muscle group. So I'll give you an example. If you're going to squat on a Monday, I still want you to be able to hit legs again or hit your lower body on Tuesday. So we can't write your legs off on Monday. We just can't. We can't afford to, because we've got to go back and hit that muscle group again on Tuesday, because the goal is to get leaner, fitter, faster, stronger. And so we need to make sure that we're hitting these big muscle groups in the body: quads, hamstrings, glutes, lats, pecs, multiple times a week. You're not really going to grow. You're not going to do much, ladies. And this goes for the men as well. And they've got an abundance more growth hormone than we have. So they're already genetically at an advantage to us to build muscle. But you're not going to do much hitting the desired muscle group once a week. Like, if your goal is to get a nice, strong, firm butt, you don't want to just be targeting your glutes once a week. You want to be trying to target glutes maybe 3 times a week. But you can't do intense glute focused only sessions 3 times a week, because then you're never going to recover. And the recovery is where the magic happens. The recovery is where we're going to rebuild and come back stronger so that we can progressively overload. So this all knocks onto each other. So full body split is what I would recommend in terms of training. If you are inside of Thriving Women, you will know you're going into the gym and you are hitting your shoulders from different angles on each session. You're hitting your lower body, but maybe with a different exercise on each session. We've got some sort of core exercise on every session. The recovery and the rest periods between your workouts also matter. Critical part of muscle building. Again, making sure that we prioritise the protein, prioritise the sleep. Hydration is number 6 that I've not included, because it's also vitally important. It's vitally important for progress of any kind. But yeah, your rest and your recovery really is where the magic happens. And if your goal is fat loss, that's also when fat loss occurs. So again, you may have heard me speak about this in a previous episode. If you are chasing fat loss, stress management, recovery, adequate sleep, adequate amount of protein. Like, don't forget your protein actually feeds into the recovery process, because if we're not giving the body what it needs, it'll just continue to crave. A lot of women struggle with cravings when they're in a calorie deficit, but they are failing to eat enough protein. If you're not eating enough protein, which is what your body actually needs and actually needs to optimize, it's going to keep craving. I genuinely believe that if you can get your protein in relatively earlier in the day, you're gonna really blunt these cravings that so many women struggle with, because it doesn't matter how much you eat until your body reaches the point of taking what it needs, which protein is a part of that. It's going to continue to throw out the ghrelin hormone. It's going to continue to crave. And so I want you to take on board those 5 pointers. Let's use the summer to our advantage, ladies. Let's build some muscle. Let's get fitter, faster, stronger. Whatever the goal is right now, I want you to move away from, I've got to go and smash cardio, I've got to go and do the HIIT class because I ate too much at the barbecue. That is instant gratification in fitness form. And I'm not saying that doing the fitness class or doing the spin class occasionally is not going to be great, it's not going to be beneficial. Of course it is. Going out for the run, doing the kettlebell swings, doing the burpees, like it's all good, it's all exercise. But the bulk, the 80%, don't forget, we live by the 80-20 rule on all areas. The 80% of the time, if you're a woman 38 plus, you value health, longevity, you want to be able to eat well, you want to be able to look good, you want to be strong and capable and all of the things, you've got to lift weights. It's got to be a priority, and this is an actual opportune time. Whether you do 20 minutes in the gym or you do 40 minutes in the gym, it doesn't matter. Show up, don't skip it. If you would normally do 3 to 4 sets on a big exercise, but you're strapped for time in the summer, and you know that you need to warm up and you need to cool down because all of the things, and we don't want to seize up and cause injuries, just do 20 minutes. Do 20 intentional minutes in the gym. But do not miss these 5 key pointers. Progressive overload. Make sure you get enough protein. Put those calories to good use. Make sure that you are sleeping, ladies. Do not neglect the importance of your sleep. And appreciate the recovery. The recovery between your sessions is when the magic happens. I hope that this week's episode has been inspiring enough that you're all going to get into the gym, lift a little bit heavier, prioritise weightlifting. If you are really struggling right now for clarity on what to do in the gym, you're stuck for what exercises are most efficient or how to put a workout plan together, or you just know that you need that accountability or support, or you need the nutritional support to go with the training, come and join us inside the Thriving Women. Time to Thrive group coaching is open. It's the evergreen program. I have designed it specifically so that the woman who feels a little bit lost along the way, but who is invested in showing up as the best version of herself, has a program. And not just any program, not just a downloadable, go and do this and crack on. Like, you've also got the support, you've also got the accountability, you've got the check-ins, you've got the community of women, you've got everything that you could possibly need to thrive. And summer, I think summer is an opportune time. And you know what? As I say, week in and week out, the time is going to pass anyway. So let's put it to our best use. Ladies, I will catch you all on the next episode of the Fit and Unfiltered Podcast.